Commander Vexthalan stood before the massive holographic display in the center of the Zephyrian War Council chamber. The blue and green planet Earth rotated slowly in front of him, showing continents and oceans that sparkled under the light of their yellow star. Around the chamber, 12 of the most powerful military leaders in the Zephyrian Empire watched and waited for his report. "Honored council members," Vexthalan began, his voice echoing through the crystalline walls. "After 6 months of careful observation, I present our complete analysis of the third planet in the Sol system. The species calls themselves humans, and they inhabit most of the land masses on their world." He gestured with one of his 4 arms, and the display zoomed closer to show cities scattered across the continents. As you can see, they have built settlements of various sizes, but their technology appears primitive by our standards. Their tallest structures reach only a few hundred meters into their atmosphere. Their transportation relies on burning fossil fuels in wheeled vehicles and crude flying machines. Admiral Carthon, the eldest member of the council, leaned forward in his floating chair. His scales had turned the deep purple that indicated serious interest. "What of their military capabilities?" Vexthalan touched a control panel, and the display changed to show human soldiers carrying weapons. Their armies still use projectile weapons that fire small metal bullets. Some of their more advanced forces have explosive devices, but nothing that could threaten our ship hulls. Their most powerful weapons appear to be nuclear devices, but these are large, slow, and limited in number. The council members exchanged glances. Such primitive warfare was almost amusing to beings who fought with plasma cannons and molecular disruptors. "Continue," Admiral Carthon commanded. "Perhaps most importantly," Vexthalan said, "the humans show no signs of political unity. Our monitoring systems have identified 195 separate governmental entities on their planet. These groups frequently engage in conflicts with each other over resources, territory, and ideological differences." The display showed news footage of human conflicts from around their world. Soldiers in different uniforms fighting in deserts, jungles, and cities. Politicians arguing in their various governmental buildings. Protests and demonstrations in the streets. They cannot agree on simple matters like trade or environmental protection, Vexthalan continued. Some of their nations have been at war with each other for decades. Others form temporary alliances that collapse within years. There is no central authority, no unified command structure, no coordinated defense system. Commander Zalketh, known for his strategic mind, spoke up. "What about their space capabilities? Surely they have some orbital defenses." Vexthalan smiled, which was not a pleasant sight on a Zephyrian face. "Their space program is perhaps the most telling indicator of their limitations. They have a handful of space stations orbiting their planet, but these appear to be scientific research facilities with no visible weapons. Their satellites are used for communication and navigation, nothing more." The display showed human spacecraft, which looked like metal cylinders with chemical rockets attached. Their fastest vessels require months to reach their own moon, which is only 300,000 kilometers away. To reach even the nearest planet in their system would take them years. They have no faster-than-light travel, no understanding of dimensional physics, no knowledge of the greater galaxy. The council members were now showing signs of impatience. This was clearly going to be easier than they had hoped. "Their industrial capacity?" asked Admiral Carthon. "Significant for a primitive species," Vexthalan admitted, "but entirely focused on their own planet. They mine metals and produce goods, but everything is designed for their current technological level. We have detected no evidence that they are researching advanced materials or energy sources." He paused for effect. "In fact, they appear to be damaging their own planet with their industrial processes. Their atmosphere shows increasing levels of pollution, and their oceans contain waste products from their manufacturing. A truly advanced species would never allow such environmental destruction." The War Council chamber fell silent as the members considered this information. Earth appeared to be inhabited by a species that was not only technologically primitive, but also politically divided and environmentally careless. "Recommendation?" Admiral Carthon asked. Vexthalan straightened to his full height. The humans pose no threat to the Zephyrian Empire. Their conquest would require minimal resources and provide maximum benefit. Their planet contains abundant fresh water, fertile soil, and mineral deposits. The humans themselves would make excellent laborers for our mining operations on less hospitable worlds. He gestured again, and the display showed detailed resource maps of Earth. I recommend a swift conquest using a small expeditionary force. 12 ships should be more than sufficient to overwhelm their primitive defenses and force their surrender. Once their various governments realize the futility of resistance, they will submit to imperial rule. The council voted unanimously. Admiral Carthon was assigned command of the expeditionary force, with orders to subdue Earth within one planetary rotation. The humans would become the newest servants of the Zephyrian Empire, and their world would become another jewel in the imperial crown. As the council members filed out of the chamber, none of them noticed the small detail that Vexathalan had overlooked in his analysis. The humans might fight each other constantly, but in their entire recorded history, whenever faced with an external threat that endangered their entire species, they had always found a way to unite. The 12 Zephyrian warships materialized, at the edge of Earth's solar system like dark clouds appearing in a clear sky. Their arrival sent ripples through space-time that were immediately detected by monitoring stations scattered throughout the outer planets. Admiral Carthon stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small blue planet grow larger on his view screen as they approached. "Begin broadcasting the surrender demands," Carthon commanded. His voice carried the confidence of a commander who had conquered 17 worlds for the Empire. "Use all their major languages. Make sure they understand what is happening." The communications officer activated the transmission array. Within minutes, radio waves carrying the Zephyrian ultimatum were flooding Earth's airwaves in English, Mandarin, Spanish, Arabic, and dozens of other human languages. The message was simple and direct: surrender immediately or face total destruction. On Earth, Captain Hyojin Kim was monitoring the deep space surveillance array from her station in Colorado. She had been tracking unusual energy readings for the past hour when 12 massive objects suddenly appeared on her screens. The young officer had trained for this moment her entire career, but seeing it happen still sent her heart racing. "Control, this is Deep Space Monitor 7. Kim spoke calmly into her headset. "We have 12 unknown vessels entering the solar system. Size estimates indicate they are much larger than anything in our current fleet. They are broadcasting on all frequencies." "Copy that, Monitor 7, came the reply from General Taewoo Park at Strategic Command. "Are you getting clear readings on their transmissions?" Kim's fingers moved quickly across her control panel as she analyzed the incoming signals. "Sir, they are demanding our immediate surrender. The message is being broadcast in multiple human languages. These are definitely not human vessels." General Park had been preparing for this possibility for 23 years, ever since the first unexplained debris had fallen from space and his team had discovered technology that was clearly not made on Earth. "Execute Protocol 7 immediately. All stations, all assets. This is not a drill. Across Earth, hidden, installations that did not appear on any public maps suddenly came alive. The space stations that the Zephyrians had dismissed as simple research facilities began to transform. Panels slid away to reveal weapon arrays that had been carefully disguised. Solar collectors rotated to become focusing mirrors for high-energy lasers. Communication dishes reconfigured themselves into targeting sensors. Lieutenant Commander So-Young Nam was aboard the orbital station that the public knew as International Research Platform Alpha. As the Protocol 7 alert reached her station, she activated systems that had been installed in secret over the past 5 years. "All personnel to battle stations," Nam announced over the intercom. "This is real world, people. Remember your training." The Zephyrian fleet was still approaching when their sensors began detecting energy signatures that did not match their intelligence reports. Admiral Carthon frowned as his tactical officer reported readings that made no sense. "Sir, the human space installations are showing power levels much higher than expected," the officer reported. "And we are detecting structured electromagnetic emissions from their satellites." "Impossible," Carthon replied. "Our intelligence clearly showed these were primitive research stations." Captain Dong-Hyun Oh, was piloting what appeared to be a standard human military transport when he received the activation code. His fingers moved to a hidden panel in his cockpit, revealing controls that officially did not exist. The transport's outer hull began to shift and reconfigure, exposing weapon systems that had been built using technology reverse-engineered from alien debris. Ghost Squadron. This is Ghost Leader. O transmitted on an encrypted frequency. Light them up. What followed was not the one-sided battle that Admiral Carthon had expected. The human spacecraft that emerged from behind asteroids and orbital platforms moved with precision and coordination that should have been impossible for such a primitive species. Their weapons fired bursts of energy that his shields were designed to deflect, but the frequency and modulation of the human weapons seemed specifically calibrated to penetrate Zephyrian defensive systems. How are they doing this? Carthon demanded as his ship shuddered under human weapons fire. Their technology should not be capable of harming us. On Earth, Colonel Hiram Lee coordinated the defensive response from a command center buried 300 meters underground. The facility had been built over 2 decades using specifications derived from crashed alien technology. Every system, every weapon, every tactical program had been designed with one purpose: to fight an enemy with technology superior to current human capabilities. Phase 1 is successful, Lee reported to General Park. Enemy shields are adapting to our initial attack patterns, but we expected that. Initiating Phase 2. The Phase 2 weapons were different. Instead of trying to match alien technology, they exploited what human engineers had identified as fundamental weaknesses in Zephyrian design philosophy. Where the aliens had built elegant and efficient systems, humans had built crude but effective countermeasures. The nuclear weapons that struck the Zephyrian fleet were not the primitive bombs that their intelligence had described. These were precisely tuned electromagnetic pulse devices that had been specifically designed to overload the harmonic frequencies used in alien shield generators. The information needed to build them had been gathered from 20 years of studying debris that had accidentally fallen from space. Admiral Carthon watched in shock as 4 of his escort vessels suddenly went dark, their shields collapsed, and their power systems offline. The remaining Zephyrian ships found themselves facing human forces that seemed to know exactly how to hurt them. Impossible, he whispered. They are supposed to be primitive. Plasma fire streaked through space like deadly lightning as the battle between human and Zephyrian forces intensified. Admiral Carthon gripped the armrests of his command chair as his flagship shook under the impact of weapons that should not have existed. His tactical displays showed a nightmare scenario that contradicted everything his intelligence reports had promised. "Sir, we have lost 4 escort vessels," his weapons officer reported, his voice tight with fear. The humans are using coordinated attack patterns across multiple fronts. This level of organization should be impossible for their fragmented species. On Earth, 300 meters beneath the mountains of Colorado, Colonel Hiram Lee stood before a wall of monitors showing the battle unfolding in space. Her command center hummed with activity as hundreds of military personnel coordinated a response that had been planned for over 20 years. Every screen, every communication channel, every weapon system was part of a network that spanned the entire planet. Sector 7 reports successful shield disruption on Target 3, announced Captain Min-Ho Chen from his station. Sector 12 has confirmed weapon lock on Target 7. All orbital platforms are reporting full operational status. Lee nodded as she watched the tactical display. The Zephyrian ships were powerful, but they were fighting according to predictable patterns. Their commanders clearly expected to face scattered resistance from primitive forces, not the coordinated defense network that humanity had been secretly building since the first alien debris had been recovered decades ago. Initiate Phase 3. Lee commanded. All ground-based installations prepare for surface bombardment protocol. Across 6 continents, massive doors that had been hidden beneath what appeared to be normal farmland and forest began to slide open. The Zephyrian fleet had focused their attention on Earth's orbital defenses, never suspecting that the real threat lay on the planet's surface. Underground missile silos that did not appear on any public records began to reveal weapons that had been specifically designed to fight enemies in space. Lieutenant Jinwoo Park was stationed at one of these hidden installations beneath the forests of South Korea. As the launch command reached his station, he activated systems that represented 30 years of human engineering and alien technology combined. Launch sequence initiated, Park reported. Birds are away. The missiles that rose from Earth's surface were unlike anything in humanity's public arsenal. They moved with impossible speed and agility, their guidance systems locked onto the electromagnetic signatures of the Zephyrian vessels. More importantly, they carried warheads that had been designed using principles learned from studying crashed alien technology. Admiral Carthon watched in growing horror as his remaining ships came under attack from the planet below. "How many weapon installations do they have?" he demanded. "Sir, our scans are detecting launch signatures from 47 different locations across their planet," his sensor officer replied. "The energy readings suggest these are not primitive chemical rockets. These weapons are using technology that matches our own propulsion systems." The truth was beginning to dawn on the Zephyrian commander. The humans had not been caught by surprise. They had been waiting. On a space station that the aliens had dismissed as a simple research facility, Commander So-Young Lee was coordinating with ground control as she prepared to execute the most dangerous part of their defense plan. Her station had been built to look like a civilian scientific outpost, but hidden within its structure were weapons that could threaten even Zephyrian capital ships. "Ground control, this is Station Alpha," Lee transmitted. "We have clear firing solutions on targets 2 and 5, requesting permission to engage with primary weapons." "Station Alpha, you are cleared to engage," came the reply from Colonel Lee's command center. "Show them what we have been building up here." The space station's hull began to reconfigure itself as hidden panels slid away to reveal a weapon system that had taken 15 years to construct. The device was built around technology that human scientists had reverse-engineered from alien power cores, but improved with modifications that the original designers had never considered. The beam that lanced out from Station Alpha struck the nearest Zephyrian warship with energy that overloaded its shields and burned through its hull armor. The alien vessel began to break apart as secondary explosions rippled through its structure. Captain Vexthalin, aboard one of the surviving Zephyrian ships, stared at his sensor readings in disbelief. "This is impossible. Our intelligence showed no evidence of advanced technology. These weapons, they are using our own design principles against us." "Sir," his communications officer called out, "I am detecting structured transmissions between all human forces. They are coordinating their attacks with precision that suggests a single command authority." The realization hit Vexthalin like a physical blow. The humans had not been divided and unprepared. They had been pretending. All those conflicts between their nations, all those political disagreements that Zephyrian intelligence had observed, had been a carefully maintained deception to hide the truth. Humanity had been united in preparing for this day. On Earth, General Park received reports from military installations that officially did not exist, bases hidden beneath major cities, weapon systems disguised as civilian infrastructure, and research facilities that had been secretly developing countermeasures for alien technology since the first recovered debris had revealed that Earth was not alone in the universe. "Sir, enemy fleet strength is down to 7 vessels," reported Colonel Lee. "Their formation is breaking up. Some ships appear to be attempting to withdraw." General Park studied the tactical display with the calm expression of someone who had spent decades preparing for this moment. "Do not let them leave. If even one ship escapes, they will return with a larger force. Humanity gets only one chance to convince the galaxy that we are not easy prey." Dr. Min-Ho Yoon had been waiting for this moment his entire career. When the first Zephyrian fighter craft crashed into the Pacific Ocean, recovery teams were already moving toward the impact site before the wreckage had finished sinking. Within 6 hours, the damaged alien vessel was sitting in his underground laboratory facility, dripping seawater onto the sterile floor. "Fascinating," Dr. Yoon murmured as he examined the alien power core through protective glass. His team of engineers gathered around the workstation, their eyes wide with excitement and fear. "Look at this design. They have built everything for maximum efficiency, but there are no backup systems, no redundancy. If one component fails, the entire system shuts down. His assistant, engineer Hua Young Kim, pointed to the weapon systems they had carefully removed from the wreckage. Doctor, these energy weapons are incredibly advanced, but they seem to have built-in safety limits. The power output is restricted to prevent overheating. Dr. Yoon smiled grimly. That is their mistake. They think like a civilized species. Safety first, efficiency second. We think like survivors. 3 floors above the laboratory, pilot Captain So Young Nam was discovering something that terrified the remaining Zephyrian fleet commanders. Her fighter aircraft looked similar to standard human military jets, but the engines had been modified with technology reverse-engineered from alien debris collected over the past 20 years. More importantly, Captain Nam could push her body beyond what any civilized species would consider survivable. Target locked, Nam reported over her radio as she dove toward a Zephyrian escort vessel. Her aircraft pulled a maneuver that created gravitational forces that should have rendered her unconscious. But human physiology, trained through generations of high-performance aviation and space travel, adapted to stresses that would kill most alien species. The Zephyrian pilot watching her approach could not believe his sensor readings. Impossible. No biological creature should survive those acceleration forces. Their pilot should be dead. Nam's modified weapons fired bursts of energy that had been amplified beyond their original safety specifications. Where the Zephyrians had designed elegant and controlled systems, humans had removed the safety limits and added more power. The alien ship's shields, designed to deflect weapons built with civilized restraint, collapsed under the overwhelming energy assault. In the underground laboratory, Dr. Yoon was already working on the next improvement. His team had torn apart the alien power core and rebuilt it with human modifications. Where the original design had elegant control systems, they added crude but effective amplifiers. Where the aliens had built-in safety shutoffs, humans installed bypass circuits. Test firing in 30 seconds, announced Engineer Kim. All personnel, clear the testing chamber. The modified alien weapon fired with 3 times its original power output. The energy beam melted through a meter of reinforced steel before the weapon overheated and shut down. Dr. Yoon made notes on his tablet. Excellent. Now we know the upper limits. Kim, reduce the power by 20% and add cooling systems. We need weapons that can fire continuously, not just once. Meanwhile, Sergeant Dong Hyun-oh was leading a team of combat engineers who were field-modifying captured alien equipment in real time. While the battle continued in space above them, Oh's team was learning how Zephyrian technology worked by taking it apart and putting it back together with human improvements. These alien tool, Oh explained to his team as he held up a piece of Zephyrian equipment, is designed to do one job very well, but look what happens when we connect it to our power supply instead of theirs. The device, originally designed as a communication array, began functioning as a powerful jamming system when connected to human power sources that ignored the built-in safety limitations. Within hours, Oh's team was using modified alien equipment to disrupt Zephyrian communications and targeting systems. Captain Vex Thalan, aboard one of the few surviving Zephyrian vessels, watched his tactical displays with growing horror. The humans were not just fighting back with their own technology. They were using captured Zephyrian equipment, but somehow their versions were more powerful than the originals. How are they modifying our technology so quickly? Vexathalan demanded. It should take years to understand our engineering principles. His chief engineer studied the sensor readings from the human attacks. Sir, I believe they are not trying to understand our technology. They are simply making it more powerful by removing the safety systems and adding more energy input. That should destroy the equipment. Yes, sir, but they appear to be accepting equipment failure as an acceptable trade-off for increased combat effectiveness. Back in Dr. Yoon's laboratory, his team was already working on their 3rd generation of modified alien weapons. The 1st generation had worked once before burning out. The 2nd generation had lasted for several shots. The 3rd generation incorporated human-designed cooling systems and power regulators that allowed sustained operation at power levels that would have horrified the original Zephyrian designers. Doctor, Engineer Kim reported, the new hybrid weapons are ready for field testing. Power output is 4 times the original Zephyrian specifications, with sustained operation capability. Dr. Yoon looked at the sleek weapons that combined alien technology with human engineering philosophy. They were not as elegant as the original Zephyrian designs. They were bulkier, more complex, and required more maintenance. But they were also more powerful, more versatile, and more dangerous. Excellent. Get these to the combat units immediately. And Kim, start working on the next improvement. If we can modify their weapons, we can certainly improve their engines and shields as well. Within days of the first contact, human forces were equipped with hybrid technology that outperformed the original Zephyrian designs through sheer human willingness to ignore safety restrictions and push everything beyond its intended limits. Admiral Carthon's hands shook as he stared at the emergency transmission console. Around him, the bridge of his flagship was filled with smoke and the acrid smell of burning circuits. Half of his fleet was destroyed, the other half scattered and fleeing through space like frightened animals. But the military defeat was not the worst part of this disaster. High Command. Carthon spoke into the communication device, his voice cracking with desperation. This is Admiral Carthon requesting immediate evacuation from the Sol system. The mission has failed completely. The humans were not primitive, they were prepared. He paused, struggling to find words that would make his superiors understand the magnitude of their mistake. The humans have captured 3 of our vessels, intact. They have our navigation computers, our star charts, our communication protocols. They know the locations of our home worlds. They know how to find us. The response from High Command was immediate and angry. Admiral, explain how 12 ships could be defeated by a primitive species with no spacefaring technology. Carthon looked at his tactical display, which showed the remaining human forces moving with coordinated precision that would have impressed even Zephyrian fleet commanders. Sir, they were never primitive. Everything we observed was deception. They have been preparing for contact with hostile alien forces for decades. On Earth, General Tae-Woo Park stood in the command center that had coordinated humanity's first interstellar war. The holographic display before him no longer showed their solar system. Instead, it displayed the star charts they had recovered from captured Zephyrian vessels, showing the locations of 17 alien worlds spread across 50 light-years of space. Ma'am, Captain Hyojin Kim reported from her station, our analysis teams have finished examining the alien navigation systems. We now have complete maps of Zephyrian space, including the locations of their military bases, industrial centers, and population centers. General Park studied the display with the calm expression of a career military officer who understood the implications of what they had learned. The aliens had not sent exploration ships or diplomatic vessels. They had sent a conquest fleet with the intention of enslaving humanity. That knowledge changed everything. What is the status of our reverse engineering projects? Park asked. Colonel Hiram Lee looked up from her reports. Dr. Yoon's team has successfully adapted Zephyrian faster-than-light drive technology. They estimate we will have working prototypes within 6 months. The weapons and shield systems are already in production using hybrid human-alien technology. Lieutenant Jin-Woo Choi, one of the pilots who had fought in the space battle, spoke up from his debriefing station. Sir, with respect, we need to consider our next move carefully. They know where we live. We should return the favor. The statement hung in the air like a challenge. For the first time in human history, Earth knew that hostile intelligent life existed in the galaxy. Their first contact had been an attempted invasion and enslavement. The message was clear. The galaxy was not a peaceful place, and humanity needed to be prepared to defend itself aggressively. Meanwhile, Commander Vexthalin sat in a human detention facility, watching his captors work with growing horror. The humans were not just studying Zephyrian technology. They were improving it. Their questions about Zephyrian worlds were not academic curiosity. They were military intelligence gathering. You do not understand what you are doing, Vexthalin said to his human interrogator, Dr. Min Ho-yoon. The Zephyrian Empire controls dozens of worlds. Our military forces number in the millions. You cannot fight the entire galaxy. Dr. Yoon looked up from the alien computer system he was analyzing. Commander, you made one critical error in your assessment of humanity. You assumed that because we fight among ourselves we are weak and divided. You failed to understand that our conflicts have made us very good at warfare. He gestured to the modified alien technology that filled his laboratory. You also assumed that advanced technology makes a species civilized and restrained. Humans are not civilized when our survival is threatened. We are adaptive, creative, and absolutely ruthless. The implications of human technological adaptation were becoming clear. Within weeks of first contact, humanity had gone from a species confined to one planet to a civilization with access to faster-than-light travel, advanced energy weapons, and detailed intelligence about alien civilizations. More importantly, they had demonstrated a willingness to push technology beyond safe limits in pursuit of military advantage. Captain So Young Nam was already training with the first human spacecraft equipped with hybrid drive systems. The vessels looked crude compared to elegant Zephyrian designs, but they were faster, more heavily armed, and operated by crews who had no intention of fighting a defensive war. Navigation check complete, Nam reported during her test flight. All systems showing green. We are ready for extended operations beyond the solar system. General Park received the report with grim satisfaction. The Zephyrian Empire had awakened, something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. Humanity with knowledge of the galaxy, advanced technology, and a very clear understanding that their survival depended on ensuring that potential enemies never again underestimated human capabilities. The hunters had become the hunted. Within months, human scout ships would be visiting Zephyrian worlds, gathering intelligence and preparing for the day when Earth would no longer be content to wait for the next alien invasion. Humanity had learned they were not alone in the universe. They had also learned that the galaxy was hostile. The Zephyrian Empire was about to discover what happened when humans decided to take their defense seriously. The age of human expansion beyond Earth was about to begin, and it would not be peaceful.